the most scared I have ever seen someone about money. They were not broke. They had just saved their first 10,000 euros. The daughter of a close friend, mid-20s, first real job, had done what most people her age never do. Put a little aside every month, for a couple of years. Skipped the upgrades her friends were making, drove the same tired little car until it was 10,000 euros, the first real money of her life. And then she froze. Because she had done the hard part and now she was terrified of doing the wrong thing and watching it vanish. So she sat down across from me and asked the question I have heard more than any other in 23 years of banking. What do I actually do with it? How do I invest my first 10,000 euros without losing it? I worked too hard for this, but I know it cannot just sit there. And here is what got me. She had already asked around, and everyone had an angle. The bank wanted her in a product. An advisor wanted a commission. Half of YouTube wanted her in a course. Nobody had just given her the plain order to do it in, and the order is the whole game. So I gave her the entire roadmap, start to finish, nothing to sell at the end. 7 steps. And the last one matters more than other 6 combined. It's also the one almost everybody skips. That conversation is in this video. Let us start where I started with her, before you invest a single cent. The first thing I asked her was not which fund. It was if your car died tomorrow or you lost your job next month, where is the money to survive that? Because this is the mistake almost everyone makes. They are so eager to start that they put every euro to work. And then life sends a bill. And they are forced to sell at the worst possible moment. This is how you take investing's one real risk, a temporary dip, and turn it into a permanent loss. So, before a single euro goes into the market, you set aside an emergency fund. At least 3 months of your actual living expenses. Rent, food, bills, the real number. And it goes somewhere deliberately boring. A plain instant access savings account, a demand account, and a Vista account, whatever your bank calls it. The kind you can pull from the same day, no notice period, no lockup. Not invested. Not parked in a fixed term deposit you cannot touch for a year. Somewhere you can reach it in a day. And here is the part I made her promise me, because it's the one everyone gets wrong. This money is not to be touched. Ever. Not for investing. Because here is what happens. You build that emergency fund. You feel responsible. And then a few months pass, nothing goes wrong, and a little voice starts up. Why is all that cash just sitting there doing nothing? The market is up. Nothing bad is going to happen to me. I will just invest that too. And the day you listen to it, you have quietly deleted the entire reason it existed. Then life does what life always eventually does. And now you are selling your investment at the worst possible time to cover the emergency you swore would never come. So say it back to yourself. The emergency fund is not lazy money. And it's not spare ammunition for when the market looks good. It's the one thing that lets you stay invested through every crash without ever being forced to sell. Its entire job is to be boring and sit there. Leave it alone, and only what is left after it goes to work. With the emergency fund set aside, we turn to the money that would actually be invested. And she asked the obvious thing. Okay, so which stocks do I buy? And I told her the truth nobody starting out wants to hear. Probably none. Not because stocks are bad, because you picking them is the bad part. And then I showed her the numbers, because they are honestly startling. A finance professor named Hendrik Bessenbinder went through nearly a century of the US market. Every stock, 1926 to 2016. Here is what he found. Most individual stocks are losers. The typical stock had a negative lifetime return. More than half of all stocks, around 57%, did not even beat a boring 1-month government bill. Basically, the safest, dullest place there is to park cash, where you lend the government money for a single month and earn next to nothing. And when you ask where all the market's wealth actually came from, the answer is almost absurd. Just 4% of companies generated the entire net gain of the US market over 90 years. The other 96% collectively did no better than treasury bills. Narrow it further, and it is wilder still. 1/3 of 1% of stocks, 90 companies, produced more than half of all the wealth ever created. Sit with what that means for picking stocks yourself. To win, you do not just have to be good. You have to reach into a pile that's almost all losers and pull out a handful of Apples and Microsofts before the rest of the world figures out they are the winners. The dream is you find the next Apple. The reality is the odds are brutal, and most hand-picked bets quietly turn into the next Nokia. Fine, she said, so I will just pay a professional to pick for me. And I stopped her there, because the data on that is almost worse. Every year, a scorecard called SPIVA measures how many professional fund managers actually beat the market. Over 10 years, in the US, about 85% of them failed to beat a plain S&P 500 index fund. Over 15 years, nearly 90% failed. And in the UK, in a single recent year, around 88% of broad UK equity funds failed to beat their benchmark. These are people paid millions with teams and Bloomberg terminals whose entire job is to win, and the overwhelming majority still lose to a fund that just buys everything and does nothing. If the experts cannot reliably beat the market, the honest question is not which stocks do I pick, it is why am I trying to beat it at all? So, the winning move is not to hunt for the needles, it's to buy the whole haystack, every company at once. So you are guaranteed to already own that 4% that matters, without ever having to guess which they are. Buy the whole haystack has a name, an index fund. One purchase, and you own a slice of hundreds, even thousands of companies at once. When one fails, it barely scratches you. When the next winner rises, you already own it, automatically, without ever having to be clever. And because a computer runs it instead of a highly paid manager, the fees are tiny, which, as she would find out, matters more than almost anything else. For most people, one broad, global, low-cost index fund is not the boring answer, it's the whole answer. And if you want to know exactly which fund, I made a whole video on that one. Now, a hidden layer almost nobody warns you about, and it matters wherever you invest. The exact fund you buy and where it's legally based quietly changes how much tax gets skimmed off your returns before you ever see them. Same index, different wrapper. And over a lifetime, real money. For Europeans, this is the trap, because nearly every investing video is American. They will tell you to buy something called VOO or SPY, and as a European, you often literally cannot. Europe has its own version, UCITS funds, built for us, with rules that protect you. And even among those where the fund is based, Ireland versus Luxembourg changes your tax bill. But wherever you are watching from, the rule is identical. Before you buy, know your fund's legal home and know how is it taxed. That one quiet detail compounds into real money. Around here, she asked what everyone asks. Should I just buy America? Put it all in US stocks. They always win. And this is the one place I refuse to give a verdict, because there is not an honest one. You can own just the US, the S&P 500, betting the biggest economy keeps leading. Or you can own the entire world in one fund, betting on no single country. Both are legitimate. One is a concentrated bet you should make knowing it is a bet. The other means you never have to predict who leads next. And here is what surprises people. Even the whole world fund is around 57% American under the hood. So the gap between just the US and the entire world is smaller than it sounds. I told her what the choice actually is, not what to pick, because that part is hers and yours. Then the real hesitation showed up, the one that costs people the most. Maybe I should just wait. The market feels high. I will start when it dips. I told her the most expensive words in investing are "I will start later." Not because the market never drops, it will, but because the thing that actually builds the money is not dodging the drops, it is time. And here is the number that ends that argument. JP Morgan looked at the last 20 years of the US market. stay fully invested, and you made about 10.5% a year. Miss just the 10 best days. 10 days out of 20 years, and your return falls to about 6.5%. Miss the best 20 days, and you are down near 3.5%. And here is the cruel twist. 7 of those 10 best days landed within about 2 weeks of the 10 worst days. So the people who panic sell in a crash, trying to be clever, are almost guaranteed to be sitting in cash for the explosive rebound that follows. You cannot dodge the bad days without also missing the good ones. I know the cost of waiting personally too. I lost the better part of a decade to exactly that hesitation, and it's a whole video of its own. So the right time to buy on a long horizon is boringly simple. Now, and then again every month, automatically, without watching. And here is something I made sure she understood, because almost nobody her age does. The reason you do not see many people quietly getting wealthy from index funds is not that it does not work. It is that it needs time. Decades of it. And almost nobody starts early enough to give it that. Most people do not think about investing until their 40s, because no one ever taught us that the years in front of you are the entire game. She's 26. That right there is the rarest advantage in investing, and she almost did not know she had it. And then I told her the last step, and this is the one almost everybody skips. Not because it's complicated, because it looks like doing nothing at all. Leave it alone. Do not touch it when the market drops and every instinct screams sell. Do not touch it when a coworker's crypto doubles and your own index fund feels slow. And this is not a hunch, it is measured. Morningstar runs a study every year called Mind the Gap. It puts two numbers side by side, what a fund actually returned and what the average investor who owned that fund actually walked away with. And the investor always comes out behind. In their latest decade of data, the funds returned about 8.2% a year, but the average investor in them earned only about 7%. Same exact funds. And here is exactly why. The fund's number assumes one thing, that you stayed invested over the whole time. But most people do not. The market drops, they panic, they pull their money out, locking in the loss. And then they are sitting in cash when it recovers. Or they only jump in after it has already surged. Either way, their money simply was not in the fund during the stretches that mattered most. So they do not get the fund's return. They get what is left after fear pulled them in and out at the worst moments. That gap runs a bit over a percentage point a year, and a point a year compounded over a lifetime is real money. Sit with that. The average person underperforms the very fund they own, purely through their own behavior. The fund did its job. They got in their own way. After this point, the growth does not come from being clever. It comes from time and from your own nerve. That flat, boring early years are the price of admission, and the people who win are not the smartest or the richest. They are just the ones who do not flinch through them. So, what is the whole plan? On one page, the same order I gave her. Keep a safety buffer. Do not pick stocks. Own the whole market cheaply. Use the European version. Decide honestly between one country and the world. Start now instead of later. And then have the nerve to leave it alone. So, which of those 7 matters most? I told you I would tell you. And honestly, it's not the fund, not the country, not the tax wrapper. You could get every one of those perfectly and still lose to the person who got them all wrong but did the last thing right. They started and then they left it alone. And I need to be straight with you. That last step is hard. Really hard. Harder than any of the maths. It means starting before you feel ready and then sitting through years where it looks like nothing is happening, while a friend keeps bragging about the hot tip that is going to make him rich, and your fund just sits there, barely moving. Most people cannot do it. They start, and somewhere in that boring middle, they quit. That is the honest reason why you do not see many ETF millionaires walking around. Not because the plan does not work, but because almost nobody has the patience to let it. Nobody sells you that step, because you cannot put patience in a product. But it's the one that decides everything. There is no step 10, where I sell you a course, because I do not have one. And, by the way, every single of these 7 steps has its own dedicated video, where I go into each topic in far more detail. I have linked all of them in the description below, so you can dig as deep as you want into whichever step matters most to you. That is all that's down there. No course, no pitch, just videos that go deeper. The only thing I will ask you is that you subscribe. Not for me, for you. Because the next time that boring stretch makes you want to quit, I would like to be the voice that talks you out of it. So I showed her what that time could actually do. Take her 10,000 euros, keep adding just 200 a month, barely more than the things she was already skipping. Leave it alone at 8% a year, the kind of return a broad global market fund has delivered over the long run. By the time she reaches 65, 39 years from now, that grows to close to 800,000 euros. From 10,000 and a little each month. Not because she picked winners, because she gave it 39 years. That is the whole secret nobody makes exciting. Time does the heavy lifting, if you just let it. So start, then do not touch it. For years. That's the whole game. I'm not a financial advisor, and none of this is a personal advice. It's the honest map, and the walk is yours. I'm Ivan, this is the Banker's Notes.